Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well this morning. Thank you very much for joining us for our small ship expedition and luxury cruising webinar. My name is Jacinta and I am one of the business development managers here in our Cheltenham office based in Melbourne. And I have to say that I am really excited to talk to you today about one of my favourite APT products. The Small Ships program is one of the most unique and one-of-a-kind experiences I've had in my 16 years in the travel industry. We now have 4 brochures in our Small Ships program. Our 2019 brochures have been released, and of course we have our current 2018 brochures out. At the moment we have some amazing super deal savings for both 2018 travel and 2019 travel, and I'll talk to you about those towards the end of the webinar. This is just a picture of a map for the coastal cruising across the whole globe that we can take you on. From Northern Europe through to Western Europe, we have some beautiful cruises in the Arctic, down in Asia, in our own backyard in the Kimberley and Arnhem Land, and of course in the beautiful area of Antarctica. So why would you want to travel with APT on a small ship? When it comes to our ocean cruising, we have a fantastic benefit of operating multiple ships, which gives us the ability to choose where to deploy each one, or where possible, we can charter a vessel that suits your needs. Whether it's chartering a faster ship to get us across that Drake Passage in complete comfort, or perhaps a boutique ship to get us into the centre of Norwegian's beautiful fjords, where big ships possibly could not reach. APT's fleet are all designed with you, our guests, in mind. We also offer true small ship cruising, which I absolutely love about our product. With only 118 guests on an expedition cruise, you're guaranteed a really personalised environment. There are so many benefits to small ship ocean cruising. The atmosphere that I found on board was like an elegant country club. The ships have a beautiful nautical feel about them. Of course, we all know with cruising you unpack just once and you take your elegant hotel with you. We visit new lands every day from cities, towns and villages across the globe. And the best thing I think about these small ships is we steer clear of crowds and mass tourism. Because we have smaller ships, we can access those really tiny, lesser-known ports, or ports that big ships cannot reach. One of the best examples of this is Hvara in Croatia. We often dock right in the centre of town. A great thing for myself, in particular with small ship cruising, is the coastal cruise aspect. So for those that don't quite have fabulous sea legs, we hug the shore and avoid rough seas on almost all of our itineraries, which means we're stopping with virtually no days at sea and beautiful port towns every single day. In some locations, we actually stay until midnight, which means you've got more time to explore each of the ports along the way. With APT, it is, of course, all-inclusive. Some of you may have been away with us before, and you would know that you never have to lift any time your wallet out of your bag. Your tailor-made shore excursions are all included, and that also includes APT's unique signature experiences and, of course, our freedom of choice options. We have beautiful fine dining, and to be honest, the food on the small ships is probably some of the best that I've had anywhere in the world. We are so well looked after with beautiful fresh cuisine every single day. Of course, you've got complimentary beverages throughout. We have guest speakers on select cruises to enhance your journey, as well as tipping, transfers and port charges that are all included. When it comes to our expedition teams, they are hand-picked experts in their field. Whether it's a marine biologist taking you through the beautiful Kimberley region, or perhaps a historian telling the tales of the Baltic states, or even a naturalist guide taking you up to the incredible Pulpit Rock in Norway's beautiful fjords. Our team really are what brings each port to life. Our expedition cruises have between 10 and 12 expedition team members, and that really just depends on the cruise ship and the departure itinerary. Every small ship tour will, of course, have a dedicated APT cruise director and our wonderful local guides in each city who offer you some immersive cultural encounters and, of course, VIP access. And speaking of VIP access, our signature experiences are all about leaving you with unforgettable memories, and these are included on every small ship itinerary, along with, of course, our freedom of choice inclusions. We completely understand that as travellers, we all have different interests, and in selected locations on our small ships, we offer you a choice of different activities at no extra cost. There is, of course, a more gentle option or a more active option, depending on how you're feeling on any one day. So what I'm going to do now, folks, is take you through the different fleets of ships that APT have on offer for our coastal cruising program, and then we'll have a look at the different itineraries on offer for 2019 and what's left for 2018. Starting off with our exclusive Sky ships. So these are owned by APT, which is quite a rarity in today's cruising world. These fabulous vessels only have 118 passengers maximum, with an average of around 100 per departure. With that comes 75 incredible crew members who absolutely ensure the most personal service. When I was on the cruise last year, by day 2, the crew members not only knew me by my first and last name, but they knew my preferred drink. So I wandered into the lounge every evening before dinner to catch up with the fellow travellers, and they had a sparkling wine sitting there on the desk ready for me each evening, which is just amazing. All of the cabins have Wi-Fi internet access, flat screen TVs, and an elevator that services all decks across our Sky ships. The 3 ships are known as the Caledonian Sky, the Island Sky, and the Hebridean Sky, and each one of these has 10 ZODIAC vessels on board for a complete immersive experience by ZODIAC. This is just some pictures of the public spaces and suites on board. So in the top left, you've got the beautiful panorama lounge on the Caledonian Sky. This is a great place to just relax and unwind. The top right is the Lido deck. This was my favourite place for outdoor dining. It's just beautiful waking up somewhere in the Mediterranean or perhaps the Norwegian fjords and enjoy breakfast overlooking the pristine surrounds. Down the bottom left-hand there, you'll see our deluxe balcony suite. So we have a range of suites that are huge for their size. They're about 25% larger in cabin size than other vessels of her size. And the bathroom picture that you see there is our standard bathroom suite, all with luxurious molten brown toiletries. When it comes to the Sky ships, we have 2 different styles of cruising. So you can choose soft expedition or expedition cruising. With these 2 types, they both come with a mix of expedition team members from naturalists, marine biologists, historians, and also photographers that really enhance the trip and the destination. If you're looking at a soft expedition travel, you'll have the option to tailor the adventure that best suits your needs with a range of gentle and active excursions. We can take you through the Mediterranean, the beautiful Baltics, the Norwegian fjords, Western Europe, and even Japan on our soft expedition trips. If you're looking at expedition cruising, this is where we take you right off the beaten path and provide you with the privilege and access to immerse yourself in some of the world's most remote regions. Our fleet of ZODIACs will get you ashore in remote areas, while the ship's small size will have us walking off the ship in town centres. Aboard the ship, of course, your expedition immersion will definitely not end. We have our expedition teams that are there for the entire cruise, so they'll have breakfast, lunch and dinner with you. They'll give us guest lectures and historic updates on all of the cities and towns that we're visiting. The destinations for our expedition cruising include Iceland, the Kimberley and Antarctica. And when we're talking about the ZODIAC excursions, if you're looking through our 2019 brochure, you'll notice that we've got a rating system for the ZODIAC usage. And this is basically there to guide you on how much time will be spent on the ZODIACs. So some destinations like the Baltics, they rarely require ZODIACs for disembarking or sightseeing. Whereas if you're travelling to the Arctic or even Antarctica, of course, we have much more extensive usage of these ZODIACs for our shore landings. So that covers off on our beautiful Sky ships. Let's have a look at our second fleet, which is the luxury MEGA-YACHTS. This is a beautiful fleet of French-designed luxury vessels. They carry a maximum of just 244 guests, and we limit this to 200 down in Antarctica. They have state-of-the-art stabilisation, safety and navigation technology, which means getting across that Drake Passage, as I mentioned earlier, is in the best possible ship to do so. Our destinations for the luxury MEGA-YACHTS include Greenland, Antarctica and Asia. Also the Mediterranean and Kimberley for 2018 and 2019. Here are some photos of our luxury MEGA-YACHT vessels. On board, we've got beautiful large suites, many of which have balconies, large outdoor areas, and of course, climate-controlled indoor areas. There's a beautiful big lecture room on board the ships where all of our expedition guides can do their local talks. And of course, 2 beautiful gourmet restaurants where it is all inclusive. And the last ship that I want to talk to you about today before we jump into the exciting itineraries for the next 2 years is the MV Queen ELEGANZA. This is a brand new ship that launched this year in 2018 for APT, and she has a maximum of just 34 guests, so only 18 cabins on board. It is purpose-built for the Adriatic, so we're cruising up and down the beautiful Croatian coastline. One of my favourite things about this ship is it has a very unique swimming platform. So straight off the back of the deck, you can dive into the beautiful ocean that is surrounded by Croatia. Wi-Fi, of course, is included along with all of your meals and drinks, the same inclusions as all of our other vessels. So let's have a look now that we've discovered the ships and where our ships can take you. So we're going to take a little trip around the world, starting off in Northern Europe. Northern Europe is one of my favourite places to travel on a small ship because you have these beautiful tiny coastal ports and islands, pristine fjords, and of course, beautiful enchanting cities. The one itinerary I want to take you through first is one of my absolute favourites. It's called the Majestic Norwegian Fjords. It is without doubt one of the most beautiful places to explore on a small ship. And you can see in the itinerary in the photo here that we're not just outskirting the fjords, we're actually travelling right in to explore the fjordlands. With only 118 passengers on board our beautiful Island Sky ship, you have exclusive access to some of the most pristine and untouched fjords in Norway. If you are lucky enough to be free and able to travel in 2018, we do have a limited number of cabins available for our June and August departures. So please make sure you touch base with your local travel agent or APT if you'd like to secure some amazing deals for this year. We do have some departures for 2019 on the 8th and the 22nd of August. So what I'm going to do is take you through a couple of highlights on this itinerary, and the first one would absolutely have to be the Lofoten Islands. These areas offer some of the most breathtakingly beautiful scenery that I think I've ever seen. These huge big alpine peaks that you can see in the photo here, aligned with deep fjords, and then you've got these tiny quaint little fishing villages dotted along the bottom of the mountains. It's just an unforgettable place to see on a small ship. While we're here, we do have a very special experience where we see the world's longest and largest Viking longhouse. Lofoten, of course, has a really strong connection with the Viking Age, and it was here that archaeologists discovered the largest Viking longhouse ever built. It's 83 metres long and 9 metres high, and it's been restored as a living museum, so we get to take our APT guests off the ship for an excursion here in the Lofoten Islands. Another huge benefit of being on such a small ship is places like this. The Sogn Fjord in Norway is Norway's longest and deepest fjord, and it actually plunges to about 1,300 metres in some areas. It is absolutely stunning, and again, we just have to make sure that we've got our cameras charged for a beautiful area like this. With an all-inclusive sightseeing range, we do have some incredible experiences off the ship, and one of those on this itinerary is the Flam Railway. Some of you may have seen this image before. It is one of the steepest rail lines in the world, and it's more than 850 metres above sea level. It travels through the beautiful steep snow-capped mountains, tiny little farms, and cascading waterfalls that come down the mountain as we travel on the 20-kilometre train journey. And for the music lovers, when we're in Bergen, we have a very special experience where we visit the famous composer Edvard Grieg's house, and we have a private recital of some of his well-known classical masterpieces. And the last experience I'd like to show you in Norway is one of our freedom of choice days, where you can take an active adventure and hike up to the stunning Pulpit Rock that you can see pictured here. This is about 604 metres above the fjord below, so you can imagine the views that you have here. You're at eye-to-eye length with some of the fjords. If you'd prefer a more relaxing day, you can enjoy a picturesque cruise through Liza Fjord before a walk through the local town below. So folks, that's all we've got time for on Norway. Let's have a look at the best of the Baltics itinerary. This is a 13-day trip from Stockholm into Copenhagen, and it also operates in the reverse direction. We have a departure in July and September for 2019, and there is still limited availability on the 4th and the 18th of July for 2018. It is a slightly different itinerary for this year, so please contact APT or your travel agent if you'd like to know more about 2018's itinerary. For 2019, we spend 2 full days in St. Petersburg in this itinerary, which is, of course, an absolutely magical city to visit. One of my favourite signature experiences across the small ships program happens here at the beautiful Hermitage Theatre, where we have our own private ballet recital. So it's just our APT small ship group of 100 passengers and a private performance at the Hermitage Theatre, which is an absolutely unforgettable memory. In Helsinki, we have freedom of choice touring. So here you can enjoy a walking tour to discover the beautiful architecture and history that Helsinki has to offer. But the great thing about our freedom of choice options is if you've been to Helsinki before, we can take you outside of the city to visit a nearby World Heritage listed sea fortress. This occupies 6 small islands. It's an incredible fortress, and our local guide can take you out there for the day as your freedom of choice option number 2. Tallinn in Estonia is without doubt one of my favourite places through the Baltics. It's just an incredible place to visit. The old town is like wandering through a fairy tale. It is one of Europe's most captivating walled cities, and the history of the medieval fort here dates right back to the 14th century. So you can discover some of that history with a local guide as part of freedom of choice on a walking tour of the town. Or if you're feeling active, our freedom of choice allows you to do a guided bike tour in the town's surroundings as well. Another highlight of the Baltics, of course, is Riga, the capital of Latvia. We have 2 freedom of choice options here where you can wander the cobblestone streets of the historic centre and take in the beautiful architecture and historical stories. Or if you're feeling a little bit more active, we actually have quite a unique kayaking journey through the city's network of canals where you can appreciate the beautiful flora and fauna that this area has to offer. Still up in Northern Europe, we have the incredible Iceland and Faroe Islands exploration. So Iceland, of course, is famous for its thundering waterfalls, its geothermal springs, beautiful villages, and of course, outstanding beauty. 2018 is almost sold out. I think there might be 1 or 2 cabins left. In 2019, we have a departure from Reykjavik down into Edinburgh that departs on the 16th of June 2019. We start off in Reykjavik in Iceland, where we enjoy a welcome dinner to get to know our fellow travellers before exploring the West Fjords. This is one of the most remote and beautiful parts of Iceland. Only about 10% of Iceland's visitors actually get to see this stunning region. The Waterfall of the Gods is probably the most photographed area of Iceland. It is one of their most spectacular waterfalls. And on this particular day, after we see the waterfalls, we have a private visit to the local nature baths. So, of course, the hot springs are world famous in Iceland, and we have a private visit there so we're not battling the crowds with lots of other tourists. As we cruise away from Iceland, we eventually arrive into the Faroe Islands, and here we embark on an incredible tour that reveals the thousands of years of fascinating history that the Faroe Islands have to offer. We also explore the beautiful green and grassy vistas of St Kilda Island. This is a completely uninhabited archipelago just outside the Outer Hebrides. And here we have a local ranger that takes us around the beautiful island to explore the history and the flora and fauna. And still staying up in Northern Europe, we're in Greenland, new for 2019. APT are very excited to have an itinerary that's escorted by a maritime historian, Captain Peter Martin. This is a part charter aboard one of our luxurious French vessels, L'Austral. So it departs on the 12th of July 2019. We'll take you from Paris on a charter flight up into Longyearbyen in Spitsbergen. We'll then cruise all the way down into Greenland and make our way over to KANGERLUSSUAD, where we end the cruise and take a charter flight back down into Paris. Of course, one of the most popular things to explore in Greenland is the wildlife. So you might be lucky enough to spot polar bears, humpback whales, walruses, reindeer, and even sea eagles on your cruise through Greenland. But it's not just the wildlife, it's also the tiny little villages and the local people that we get to explore. The picture that you see here is actually one of Greenland's largest towns with a population of about 2,000. So you can see how picturesque and beautiful some of these villages are that we get to visit. So we're coming down a little bit further into the Mediterranean now, away from Northern Europe, into an absolute feast of blue waters, beautiful beaches, and a huge amount of art, culture, and ancient ruins. This is our brand new itinerary for 2019 along the beautiful Croatian and Adriatic coast. So this is on board, as I mentioned earlier, our brand new Queen ELEGANZA vessel. This itinerary takes you from Zagreb, where we coach all the way to Opaja, and then we drive we cruise, of course, all the way down into Dubrovnik, where we spend 8 fabulous nights on the Queen ELEGANZA. So we've got some tiny little islands along here that big ships would never possibly dream of visiting. The experience here is just like cruising on your own private yacht through the Croatian coastline. A couple of highlights for me, certainly Hvar. There are many areas in Hvar where you have to tender into the town. With the luxury of our small ship, we can dock right in the heart of the old town, and it's just a couple of steps into the old walled city where we explore the main square, the cathedral and the beautiful Franciscan monastery with a local guide. Another incredible stop is Krka National Park. This has those beautiful turquoise blue and green waters. There's the famous large natural pool that you can see pictured here. At one end, you've got these beautiful high waterfalls that cascade right down to the other end of the beautiful turquoise coloured waters. And a very special experience here in Croatia, which is a very unknown area purely because it can only be accessed by a small boat, is the island of Biševo. This is where we experience the incredible blue grotto. The waters here, as you can see in the photos, shine this amazing shade of blue. When the sun rays pass through underwater in the opening, the rocks below have this gorgeous golden shimmer. It's just a beautiful place to visit. One of the great things about our Croatian cruise is, of course, the incredible city of Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is very well known, of course, for its distinctive old town. It's encircled with a huge stone wall that was completed way back in the 16th century. And for any Game of Thrones fans out there, of course, it is the main filming location. APT have a number of luxury land journeys that you can extend before or after your cruise, from 15 days from Vienna to Dubrovnik, or you can choose a 14-day trip from Dubrovnik up into Italy, finishing in Venice, or you can explore a 19-day trip that can take you from Sarajevo up into Venice. So some beautiful land journeys there that are by coach, with APT, of course, staying in 5-star luxury hotels along the way. If you're lucky enough to be able to travel in 2018, we have 2 departures with very limited availability, taking you from Barcelona, down the French, south of France, through the beautiful Amalfi coastline, up the Croatian coast and finishing in Venice. And folks, we're moving now to a completely different part of the world, south from Europe into the beautiful area of Asia. This is such a captivating place to cruise. We've got an amazing itinerary here in Japan that we call Japan's Southern Seas. This is a 14-day trip from Tokyo to Osaka. We have very limited availability on our 14th of June departure this year. And of course, the 20th of April departure for next year has just been released. Circumnavigating the area of Japan on this cruise is just fantastic because not only are you taking in the major highlights, you're also exploring some of the lesser known areas of Japan. So we start off in Tokyo, we take the bullet train up north, cruise all the way down into Osaka before returning home. In Tokyo, we're staying at the lovely Conrad Hotel for a pre-night with some touring before making our way up to board the cruise. There are so many highlights on the cruise, but with limited time, I'm just going to mention 3. The first one, of course, is Kanazawa, where we visit the incredible ruins of the castle in Kanazawa. And we also stop at the famous Kenroku-en Garden, which is one of the most beautiful gardens in Japan. We stop at the Peace Memorial Park in Hiroshima, which was, of course, located alongside what was the epicenter of the atomic bomb detonation. And after our visit here, we visit Miyajima Island, which is known as the area of the Otori Gate that you can see pictured here. This is the boundary between the spirit and human worlds in the Japanese culture, and the first one was built way back in 1168. So we learn all about this incredible experience and a very spiritual experience with our local guide. For those who are looking for a completely unique and quite remote experience, in 2019 we have a 17-day itinerary from Tokyo all the way down into South Korea. This departs on the 9th of June. For more information, please contact APT or your local travel agent. The Kimberley coast is certainly a bucket list for many Australian travellers, and we have a fabulous itinerary that we can take you on from Darwin to Broome or cruising from Broome up to Darwin. You've got secluded gorges, tumbling waterfalls, and some incredible wildlife along the way, and of course, lots of Australian history. We have very limited availability on a September departure this year, or we can take you there from from May to September in 2019. I'm only going to share with you one of my favourite experiences on this cruise because there are so many experiences here, but the first one that I'd like to talk about is King George Falls. This is where we take a ZODIAC, being an expedition cruise, to the base of King George Falls, which towers about 80 metres above you. It's one of the most incredible sights in the Kimberley. And of course, many of the other parts on this particular cruise cannot be reached by vehicle, so you really are seeing the best of the best by a small ship in the Kimberley region. New for 2019 is our Arnhem Land cruising. So the best of Arnhem Land, we think, is found on its pristine coastline. It's just jam-packed with rugged landscapes, ancient cultures, and of course the famed Indigenous art. This is our new itinerary. It's an 8-day cruise that takes you from Darwin all the way around the Arnhem coastline back into Darwin. There are lots of amazing experiences here, from experiencing a traditional Indigenous welcome ceremony on South Goulburn Island, through to gaining an incredible cultural insight to an Indigenous group that have lived here in Arnhem Land for more than 40,000 years. And of course, the beautiful Tiwi Islands that are absolutely pristine are also included in this itinerary. And folks, the last destination we're going to talk about before we mention the super deals today is Antarctica. This is such an incredible adventure, from the amazing icebergs, the glaciers, and of course the incredible wildlife. This is our lead-in itinerary, which is classic Antarctica. So we spend 2 nights in Buenos Aires. We then fly you down into Ushuaia to board your 10-night cruise on the L'Oreal ship around the Antarctic Peninsula. We come back into Ushuaia after the cruise and fly you into Buenos Aires for 2 extra nights before heading home. We have some other amazing itineraries that involve extensive travel in South America that can be found in our Antarctica brochure. We have departures across January and February in 2019, and this is my favourite time of year to see Antarctica because you've got the penguins hatching, the wildlife is abundant, and of course the penguin chicks are out and about. This is just one example of how up close and personal you can get with the wildlife here, from the beautiful humpback whales to the mink and orca whales, right through of course to the many species of penguins in Antarctica. But it's not just the wildlife, it's also the incredible stunning glacial scenery that you have in Antarctica that is just mind-blowing. Let's have a look at our super deals, folks, today. For 2019, as long as you book by the 31st of July this year, on selected itineraries, they will either feature perhaps a fly-free deal or a companion fly-free deal, and some itineraries have an air credit that will put towards your airfare. There is a strictly limited number of offers available on each cruise, so of course the earlier you book, the better chance you have of getting your cabin of choice and your deal of choice. I have mentioned a few itineraries where we have selected cabins left for 2018. These need to be booked by the 30th of April to secure the last cabins left this year, and selected itineraries have some amazing business deals from $2,995 right up to air credits of up to $2,000 per couple for your airfares. And some of you may have already seen our new APT Club benefits for 2018. The more trips you do, of course, the more benefits you earn. And if you'd like to know more about the new merchandise or the new tiers for our APT Club, once again, please call APT or chat to your local travel agent. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our botanically themed cruises and tours that offer a number of small ship discoveries. Both natural and created gardens are included in these beautiful itineraries, and we do have a separate brochure that are dedicated to these garden-themed itineraries. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to call APT on 1300 278 278, or you can, of course, visit your local travel agent, who are all well stocked with our current brochures and super deals. I'd like to thank you all so much for your time. It's hard to get through our amazing product in 30 minutes, but I do thank you very much and welcome you aboard on your next small ship adventure. Thank you and goodbye.